Hi, my name is Rudy Mija. I have studied for many years. I have done basic schooling like everybody else. My freshman year of high school was really difficult for me. By the senior year, I was somehow a decent student. Then, as I was done with school, I went to Austria to enroll at a language school. There, I was studying German and French. By the end of the year, I certified my high knowledge of them. Then, when I came back home, I decided to study for the SAT. I did really well in the math section, but not so good in the English section. Then I decided to apply to medical school. I applied, I did the admission test, and I got in. As a matter of fact, I was the best grade of the year I applied, and I was the second best grade from the whole history of the university I applied to. Fasting forward, now I'm a third year medical student, and from all of these years of studying, I have really seen in myself and my peers what works and what does not when it comes to studying. And with that, I have been able to answer questions like, why do some people study so many hours and barely manage to pass, and some people study what seems to be like nothing, like the bare minimum, and excel? To answer these, let's analyze and see what studying consists of, according to me. According to me, studying consists of three things. We have the understanding, we have the memorization, and lastly, the application part. Most people only do understanding and memorizing, and then they get stuck there, but I believe that if you do these three, that's the best way. There's many ways to study, like we have Richard Feynman, who created the Feynman technique, which basically consists in explaining topics as simple as possible to people. But in fields like medical school and things like that, it really doesn't work. Without any real clear answer, I have taken the initiative and created my own technique, which is the Mija technique. So before we go and see what the whole technique consists of, let's go in baby steps. There's only 3 baby steps. First, introduction. So you choose a topic or concept to memorize. Then step number 2, you write as many questions in Anki, which if you don't know what Anki is, basically it's an application of flashcards like Quizlet and things like that. You can watch my video there where I explain how to use it. Basically, you write as many questions in this flashcard application, Anki, as needed to cover everything, like the whole concept, but from the perspective of a professor. And then you review them daily. So you're in the train, you are driving, you're doing whatever you want, you have some free time, grab your smartphone and review them. Why from the professor perspective, I might ask? Because students really struggle differentiating what is high geode and low geode content. But when they really keep in mind, like they behave like I'm the professor and I'm writing questions to test my students, that perspective really makes you see stuff from a more high geode perspective. Now, this part of the Mija technique, it's only memorization, so it's not completed yet. We need to add the understanding phase. So now we choose a topic. Now we add the understanding, which is going to be either watching a lecture, reading a chapter, and then the other 2 steps, which is write the question in Anki as a professor and review them daily. You see, there's no note taking, there's no need to take notes. That's not necessary in the Mija technique. And lastly, to have the whole full technique, the real Mija technique, you have to do the application, the applying. So that's how it looks like. So you choose a topic, you understand it, you write the questions, you review the questions daily, and then you go ahead and solve exercises, practice questions, Q banks, and things like that. Let's give an example. We have Ron. Ron is a biology student, and he wants to study cell biology. So he chose the topics. That's first step. Second step, understanding. He decided to read the chapter 1 of the book of basic principles of cell biology. The second step done. Third step, he went through the chapter, he understood it, and now he started to write questions in Anki from the perspective of the professor. So he wrote questions like, what is the definition of the cell? Name what a cell consists of, and so on. Then he reviewed them every day. And after 3 days or so, he decided to be like, you know what? This seems very easy to me. I'm ready. I will apply this knowledge. And then he goes to the back of the chapter at the end, and he tries to answer the practice questions without going back into the information. So what he relies on there is from what he has understood so far and the memorization he has done. depending how well he does in this application, it's his run is going to know how good his memorization and his understanding is. If he gets all questions right, then he has done everything perfect. And if he doesn't and he gets a really bad score, then that means that either his memorization it's bad and he understands really good, or his memorization it's terrible and he really got it but he doesn't remember. Usually it's never one or the other, it's usually mixed. But basically this is what, and that's the answer. Why some people study so many hours and still barely manage to pass, and some people study the bare minimum and still manage to pass? Real simple. They choose a topic, they somehow understand it, and they focus heavily on the memorization, but they don't do spaced repetition, they don't use the Anki, they don't use high geode and low geode. They just go and try to memorize everything. And it's really hard. And as soon as you switch, flip, paraphrase the questions, the knowledge, the concepts, they are freaked out. They don't really get it, you know? They know definitions, but by heart, they don't really know what that means, you know? And this way, there's no way. Like, they can flip it, turn it around, put a dress, put makeup on the concept, you're still going to know it, because it doesn't matter the angle you see it from, it's the same thing, you really get it. And that, my friends, how to study professionally. Disclaimer, if you're a medical student, you have to know there are 4 bad boys. We have anatomy, biochemistry, microbiology, and pharmacology. These 4 you don't study like the Media technique, rather use the Media Hillebrand technique. Same thing, only 2 things changes. Step number 2, instead of using a chapter, instead of reading from stuff like that, use a resource which is a story, like Sketchy, Pixarize, Physio, you name it. And instead of writing a lot of questions about, for example, what this parasite stands for, what's a treatment for this parasite, and things like that, which are simply going to overwhelm you, put the picture and then cover the things, and then ask yourself, what does the kid with the fire stand for? What does the fox stands for? And that's it. So that, my friend, that's how I study as a professional. This is my whole experience summarized. So I hope you find it useful, and see you in next week's episode.